Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. This is Perry Freeman, and this is our lesson number 7. This is report writing. And if you remember, number 6 was note-taking. Well, they have a lot to do with one another, obviously. So, I'm going to make this as brief as I can. There's just several key points I want to make when it comes to report writing in law enforcement. There's some basic rules. Accuracy, obviously. Brevity, you don't want to go on and on about things, and we'll go into that a little bit. Completeness, obviously, very, very important. And fairness, you don't want to taint your report with your personal opinions. Keep in mind the word truth. We deal with that a lot. I'm sure at least half of my videos we talk about truth. We're going to talk about the degree of accuracy a little bit. Fact in your report as opposed to opinions. Keep in mind that everything goes in chronological order, basically. I want to stress short paragraphs, not long, 3/4 page paragraphs. And don't forget your scene as you're taking your initial information for your report. Don't forget preserving the scene. So, getting started, back to those basic rules of accuracy, brevity, completeness, and fairness. Has to do with your reputation, obviously. We've talked about that in another class. Not only are your peers going to be seeing this, your supervisor obviously going to be seeing it. Next, if you get through the supervisor with your report and it goes to the prosecutor is going to analyze your report. Judges eventually will become familiar with your report. You want a good reputation with your judges, obviously, whether they're going to believe you when you're on the stand or not. The defense, of course, eventually sees the report. And it also could have to do with statistics. Keep in mind the administration part of a police department keeps data, which goes into state and actually national statistics. So, reports, very important. Accuracy of a report. Let me give you 2 quick examples. I'm going to try to make this video as short as I can. Let's say officer number 1 goes to a scene of suspected burglary, and his description of what he thinks is the point of entry might go something like this. He might say that at the back of the house, I, or Officer Smith, however he refers to himself, whether in the first person or not, might say something like, I found a screen on the ground below a window which opened to a bedroom. I noticed a cut in the screen which would allow someone to reach in and remove the screen and possibly open the window. I would also note that the window inside was broken out, which would allow someone to unlatch the window. Therefore, I believe this is the point of entry. Okay, that's pretty standard kind of a description. Let's say officer number 2 goes, and he has the same information, same observations, but when he goes, he explains that the window at the back of the house, which faces to the north, has a screen on the ground below a broken window. The frame and the screen are painted a light blue. he might put that he notices paint chips on the ground below the window. He might also put that he observed pry marks, or what appear to be pry marks, on the window and the sill around the window, the frame around the window. And he might notice that there's an L-shaped cut in the screen that appears to be made by a sharp object, and the fabric of the screen is turned to the inside of the screen, which would indicate that it was cut from the outside. The lower portion of a window inside that screen was busted out, and the glass had fallen inside of the bedroom and was recovered from the floor below the window. All of this information will be documented in photographs and will be included with this report. So I think that tells us quite a bit more. He might talk about the ground, and that he did not observe any foot impressions, shoe impressions in the ground. So you can see you can take it a lot farther. So that's completeness, but it could get too redundant, and you could actually confuse things. So just think that through. Taking and putting unsupported statements in your report could be a problem. Let's say a victim tells you something like, they observed the suspect run from the convenience store, and the clerk ran out yelling, he just stole my money. He just, took the cash from the till. And the victim may then tell you that the suspect, in this case, and give you a description of that suspect, ran to the north, made a right turn to the east, disappeared around the corner, and then disappeared in a red Mustang, which sped away from the area to the east. Now, question becomes, did the suspect actually enter that red Mustang? Did the victim see the suspect enter that red Mustang? Or did the suspect come to the corner and see a red Mustang accelerate from the area and made an assumption that our suspect entered that red Mustang? And if so, was he the driver or the passenger? So you can see a little difference there. So you need to put that information in the report as if this is what the witness observed, and in their opinion, probably entered the red Mustang. But don't state it as a fact, because you don't know that. Do everything in chronological order the best you can. What time did you arrive? What observations you observed when you arrived. You'll do a description of the house or the business or whatever. Like a quick description of an arrival might be that you were dispatched at 13:20 hours to 12:12 North Union. And upon arrival, you realize that the house is a one-story brick ranch with an attached two-car garage. The house faces to the south. The backyard is fenced in with approximately a 4-foot chain-link fence. That might be the only observation upon your arrival. That would be a paragraph. Then you would go to probably meeting with the reporting party or the victim. And you would have a short statement there, and break that person's statements into short paragraphs, not a long, like I said, 3/4 page or full page paragraph. Very short paragraphs. What did that victim observe when they first came home from work? Not, I came home from work, I observed damage to the front door, I went in the house and I discovered that the house was ransacked and there was money missing from my cabinet, or my medications were missing from my bathroom cabinet. Break all that down. The victim arrived home from where? Remember the who, what, when, where, why, and how issues. Is this the normal time for her to arrive home? Had she been out shopping, or was she coming home from work? This could play into, did someone know she was away? Did they see her leave, or was this the normal time that she was gone when this crime occurred? So she arrives, she's going to tell you that information, going to tell you what she observed at the front door. That would be another paragraph. As I approached the front door, I found that the door had been kicked in her opinion. You would have to evaluate that. So you see, just the entry to the house would be a short paragraph. Then when she comes into the living room, she notices things are in disarray, and that would be a short paragraph, what she saw in the front room. As she goes into the kitchen, another paragraph, bedrooms, bathrooms, etc. And then what she thinks is missing. So short paragraphs in chronological order as she entered the house. Keep in mind that you have to secure the house, the scene, all the evidence. And you can do that quickly, like we've talked before, by taking a lot of photographs right from the get-go. Ask her if she's moved anything, and if so, why, and how did she move it, that kind of thing. So, pretty common sense stuff. I just think the completeness and the fairness of the report is critical. Doing it in chronological order is critical. And doing it in short paragraphs with topic headings. After you do the witness or the victim statement, you might go to scene description and put a topic heading and then describe the scene. And again, similar to the window situation with the screens on the ground, you could do the same thing with the scene description, describing the outside of the house, and then as you enter, whether you think the point of entry is, in the case of a burglary where it's the front door, you would describe what your observations are there, and you'd be taking pictures, and you'd be noting that they will be included with the report. So, pretty common sense. Protect the scene. I think we've talked about that before. Photographs, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Short sentences, chronological order, I think are the important things. Let me give you a quick example of what maybe does and does not need to be in a report. I'll quickly go through just a scenario that I'll make up here. Let's say you get called at sometime around 1800 hours, 6 o'clock. And Mr. Jones is standing in the front yard, and he starts rambling on that yesterday morning, he and his family got up at 6 in the morning, and they were going to head to Grandma's house. It was Grandma's birthday. She lived about 60 miles away. Let's say it's Pueblo. And they all got around, secured the house, locked the doors, got in the car, stopped at a local drive-through donut shop, picked up coffee and donuts as they left town, and drove the 60 miles to Pueblo and had a wonderful day with Grandma. While they were at Grandma's, which they do every year on her birthday, they went out to a Mexican restaurant, and they named them, Tex-Mex special restaurant, whatever the name might be. And they all had different specials from the menu, and they had a couple of margaritas, the adults, and they went back to Grandma's house. During the evening, they played board games, Monopoly and some card games at the kitchen table, which has been a tradition for the family for years. Next morning they get up and Grandma makes a big breakfast for them, and she bakes some chocolate chip cookies, which they bring home, and they eat some of those on the way home. And then when they drive into the driveway and approach the front door, they discover that the front door has damage and someone has been in the house. And then he goes on and on about room to room, what he's observed. And what he's found, money missing from a desk drawer, whatever it might be. And he has a suspicion that it's some teenagers from up the street. And of course, you'd want to know who, what, when, where, why would you think that it would be them, and how would they know that you were gone, and those kind of things. So I won't go on and on about that, but obviously a lot of that stuff wouldn't need to go in your report. We don't need to know about the donut shop. We probably don't need to know that they went to this Mexican restaurant with Grandma. We certainly don't need to know about the board games that they played in Monopoly. And we don't need to know about the chocolate chip cookies, probably. Now, maybe he does say something like, yeah, my brother just lives a couple blocks away, and 2 years ago he had a similar burglary, only he left his house unlocked and somebody came in and took the TV and a bunch of electronic equipment. 2 years ago, maybe that's not related, but that you probably would want in your report. If you're familiar with your sector, you might know of what kind of burglary trends are going on, or the intelligence unit would have that information. So you'd probably want to mention that the brother was a victim, and maybe there's a correlation between the family. Maybe somebody knows this family pretty well, and they know when his family leaves and when the brother's family leaves. So that would go in the report. So pretty common sense. Make sure you don't have any grammatical errors before your reports are turned in. Make sure you've proofread them a couple of times. Any mistakes, get those corrected. So that'll be it for report writing. And pretty common sense. So this is Cop Facts. I'll be back with another lesson very soon. Have a good day. Be safe.